I'm FletchTheSauce, and I've been having this idea for a while. Not just some of the things I want to implement, but I'm a firm believer of playing players out of position, which I believe is just playing a player in a role that they are not fully suited to, despite me believing they have the attributes to perform in this position. This is one example of that. So I had an idea for a tactic, and the tactic is a 3-3-3-1. I've got this to work really well in Football Manager 23, but I haven't got it to work brilliantly yet in Football Manager 24. So there's a few key things that I wanted to implement, a few key ideas, and I'll start with the out of position players. I wanted to use very attacking wing backs to be my wingers, and I wanted them to man mark the opposition fullbacks. Now I'm undecided if I'm fully going to commit to the marking of them or not. It does have some negatives. I'd like these players to be able to defend inside as well sometimes too. We'll see how that looks when we begin to test it. But I'm going to play really attacking wing backs as my wingers. I want to play attacking midfielders, Mazzala type players, ball playing, ball winning players as my inverted wing backs. Now I like the idea of these guys being behind the pressing wingers. Like if I'm playing against a team that has inside forwards or wingers, I like the idea of these guys being beyond them and having the ball playing defenders carry the ball either through this space and then see if they can find this guy and have the two roaming midfield players get over. Or alternatively, the wide centre backs act like wing backs and dribble out this way with the inverted wing backs tucking in. I haven't had too much success with using inverted wing backs, but kind of the idea is that we press with this front four, we defend with a 6, we build up with a 6, but in attack, these inverted wing backs will get into this position. The wingers will hold up the ball and allow the inverted wing backs to underlap, and they can get in shooting positions. So I'd like these players with fairly decent finishing and long shots respectively, so they can then get up and attack in this area. Having a regista here, I'd like this to be more of a ball winning midfielder who can also do a bit on the ball, someone who could resemble a centre back. Now, my ball playing defenders on the right and left, I'd like specifically to be wing back type players. So really attacking mentality with our right and left ball playing defenders being on the way more attacking side. So if we look at an example here, I signed Mario Fernandez, who's 33 years old. The reason I signed him is he has runs with the ball down the right, and he has okay defensive qualities, good amount of speed, especially for a 33-year-old, but he has kind of looks more like a fullback, attacking fullback than he does a centre back. And then on the left, I'm going to look at a player like Baraghi, and I'm training him to run with the ball down the left. Don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. Baraghi, my bad. Baraghi, and we'll go to development, and I'm training him with run with the ball down the left. And the theory with this is Baraghi, he has all the qualities to be a fairly decent centre-back with additional attacking qualities. So the philosophy of this tactic and my idea is to put players in different positions who can kind of do the basics of their roles, plus with additional attributes for that position. For example, a normal winger won't have great marking, won't have great positioning and things like that. So say we looked at a conventional winger like Goodmanson, he looks like this, where he's really attacking, but he has no marking, no tackling, not much positioning or work rate. Like this is a out and out winger type player. where I'm looking at playing more of a Lazari type player who does have those defensive qualities such as some marking, some tackling, work rate, stamina, anticipation, where he can be way more effective in the press and offer what a winger can't. He can offer defensive qualities as well as offensive qualities. And then I want to put my winger in the center, with the theory of that being these guys are stretching the play, which is common for most teams in the Premier League. Generally the opposite of what you do in Football Manager right now, where the meta seems to be getting these players to sit narrower. These guys are going to be staying wider, stretching the play, and I'm hoping to make a lot of space in the center for my number 10, who, because this pitch is stretched, is going to be the most creative and dribbly player here, and put a winger in the center. High ticky press. So that's my idea behind it, to get wing backs who are playing in a back three rather than conventional normal defenders, having a really, really good central defender, and then having players that can come in here and get shots in based on the cutbacks. Yeah, doing good. Thank you, Blind Duality. Thank you. So, yes, they can. This is the theory behind it, is a lot of the goals will come from the number 2 and the number 6 in the system, who will get up into these areas. Let me show you quick. Get up into these areas and take shots. These guys that will hold up the ball. A big factor I wanted as well. You can't have hold up the ball on winger. So I am torn between winger and inverted winger, because I would like these players to hold up the ball. They are crossing from byline, so I imagine they will carry the ball, dribble here, stop, and then either put a cross in or have an option for the cutback for the inverted winger. So I wouldn't say I'm playing the same formation against everyone. There'll be slight tinkering and different players in different roles. For example, if I click Gosens here, he'll be a wide target forward on the left. But if I pick Spinazzola, he'll be a winger with some different instructions. He has run wide with the ball, but he has a player trait cut inside from the left. So if we talk about my signings that I got for this real quickly, we'll go through them and explain why I signed those players. So in this save, I have a challenge that any player I sign must be at least 30 or over during their contract, the contract that they currently have. If I buy a player, they must turn 30 in the season I'm playing, which allows for 29-year-olds, but 29-year-old and over for players. So the first player that I found was Joel Matip, literally the best centre-back I could have found for this team. A great replacement for Milenkovic. He was available for free. He's 33 years old. He's got all the things I would want for a defender. I don't love, does not dive into tackles, but I'm going to live with that because he's so good, and Matip was a key player that we signed. We signed, as I mentioned, Mario Fernandes, 33-year-old. He's got some pace, he's got some attacking qualities, but he's got the player trait that I wanted, which is runs with the ball down the right. This was a good role, and we're looking to retrain some other players to have this player trait to replace him. And I want effectively this player to sometimes get in this position, sometimes get in this position, but be attacking. This is not going to be a defensive 3-3-3-1. This is going to be a really attacking version. So I'll get into other players that I signed. We signed this guy. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. We've got Goririan. And this is the type of profile I wanted for this, which I would consider this player a Mazzala. He's someone who has okay defensive qualities, some tackling, some marking, but then offers great amount of passing vision, technique, off the ball positioning, off the ball being a key one, with some finishing. So he can get into the box and score some goals. 12 finishing is roughly what I'm looking for this role, with some great mentals. So he would be an option that would come in and play here. Another player I signed as a backup, right side inverted wingback, was this guy, who is 29, will turn 30 soon. He is a left-footed fullback that can play all different types of positions, attacking midfield, has some finishing, has some long shots, good backup for who I will have starting in this position. We have Spinazzola, who I signed, who is pretty much a winger, but does still have the qualities that I really wanted in terms of anticipation, some tackling, some marking, some position. He just offers a bit more defensively. However, Gosens will mostly play in this role. And then on the right, I signed Lazzari. Lazzari is a fast attacking fullback that I'm choosing to play as winger. Again, I'm replacing a little bit of finishing and other attacking qualities and replacing them with kind of the defensive stuff that I'm going to use instead to hopefully help us with the press, make us more vicious in defensive situations, kind of switching the players around there. And I really like the idea of playing attacking wing backs as wingers. We had an option as well. In preseason, I've used Coyote as a wide target forward, and he's been great. However, I've come to the realization that Coyote's probably going to be best used for me as a centre-back. When he has runs with the ball down the right, I will convert him to one of my right-side centre-backs. Then Dodo is my other wide winger. Again, has good tackling, marking, positioning relative to most out-and-out wingers. I'm not saying they're incredible. I'm saying they're definitely higher than the standard of most normal conventional wingers. In terms of shadow striker, I want to play a player like Goodmanson, who would generally be played out wide more so than the middle. And I want to use a player like this to make a lot of space for as the key creator in the team. So if we look at my signings that I made, I'll go to most recent. We signed Lazzari for $2.5 million. Oh, I'm going to not pronounce this one well. Carrera for $2 million. Spinazzola on loan. Guerrerian for $2.7 million. And then we got Matip and Mario Fernandes for free. We also offloaded a bunch of players. We'll do it by date-wise. Date-wise, we got rid of a few players here and there, but the key ones being Icone, Brecalo, Sotil, and Beltran, who all didn't really suit the system that I wanted to test. It wasn't that I didn't rate those players, didn't like them. They just didn't seem to suit the here I'm getting the pronunciation Kiru. Oh man, I'm gonna struggle with that one. You're gonna have to give me a minute on that. So I built this squad where we have Parisi will be our starting right-sided inverted wingback. We'll have this Guerrerian and Bove. In preseason, Bove's looked like he might be really good at this inverted wingback role. And then we have decent backups in every role. Coyote and Fernandez sharing game time. Dodo and Lazzari. Ghost and Spinazzola. Keane and Kurmi up front. Both quick, tall, fast strikers. They're focused more on the speed side, but they still are well-rounded. I'm undecided between pressing forward, complete forward, advanced forward. Kolpani, we did some tests pre-season with him being an inverted wingback, but he's probably going to be the backup shadow striker. I think he's more suited to the tougher games, offers a lot more defensively than Goodmanson. But this is what the layout of the team looks like. So as you can see, if we put Baragi here, Baragi is now a 2.5-star player. 2.5-star player after some training, but when we first started, he was a completely not existent centre-back that we're converting into a centre-back. So he's one of the first conversions. Our second conversion is Mario Fernandes, retraining him as centre-back. We had Parisi, who we retrained as a left back. He's now going to be a right back. There's also an idea that Parisi could eventually be our left winger. He has the dribbling and the defensive qualities to do it. I'm not against playing him left wing back. Kolpani eventually might become the right inverted wing back. Doing good, Wilco. Thank you. How about you? The regista is mostly going to be Mandragora, who I really like. He looks like a centre-back, basically. He looks like he could definitely play left-side centre-back, but also could play regista, Roman playmaker, something like that. This is the kind of profile that I wanted. Someone really good defensively. Someone good defensively to make up for the fact that we're going to be weaker in the center, despite these players sometimes helping out defend the midfield. And then our first choice striker is going to be Keane, with Kwame as our backup striker. So I think that's all good, and I've explained that well enough. I want to play wing backs as wingers, a winger as a number 10, kind of defensive ball-winning midfielder as a regista, attacking midfielders / opposite foot. So I want their strong foot cutting in on the inside. I want to see if they can drive into this space and get into the box here. I want to see if they can carry the ball into the center while these guys are stretching play. Yeah, and I wanted to use players that were on the stronger side. Obviously, Dodo has 14 strength, despite being small. I wanted to use players on the stronger side, like Gosen, Spinazzola, unconventional players in these positions. So we've got through preseason off stream now. Kind of decent preseason, but hit and miss. I was surprised to concede as many goals against these teams. We were decent at scoring goals, but we have a tough game now against Lazio in the away of our first game in Serie A. I think that Coyote I'm going to start as my right side centre back this game. And as you can see, we've got 1, 2. I would consider Baraghi definitely out of position. So 1, 2, 3. You could argue Parisi's fine to play inverted wing back, but I would still consider this out of position. If we put him left winger, he would definitely be considered what I would consider out of position. And my theory with this save is that as long as players have the ability to do the basics in their position, anything else they can offer in terms of additional attributes that they wouldn't normally have are great. Like this player being extremely technical is not what you'd get from a normal wing back. And then this guy being incredibly good on the ball and cutting in with good passing and good vision. Potentially, I'm happy with Kulpani playing in this role also, just to add a bit more of an out of position player. So Parisi can play left wing, Kulpani can play here. And then I would say Goodmanson isn't really what people would consider a conventional number 10, but we're getting a winger in the center. So with that explanation, I'll get a move on and get to the first test. I'm going to start the game in full match. This is what I tend to do. We've sold a lot of players as well. Like there's some players leaving, but no one really that we're super happy with buying. If we look at my current shortlist that I have right now, we'll go to my shortlist. And we'll look at some guys that we've got on there. Besides Holm, who's just perfect for me. I would love to try and sign Holm, but obviously we're doing 29 and over. They have to be on the higher 29 side. These are some targets of players that I'm looking at that fit my system perfectly. I still have a chance to go for this guy and potentially one more player that I'm not... Oh, Mazushi could also be a winger in my system. But I don't think those signings are completely necessary right now. Maybe something we can look at on deadline day if there's worth adding anyone. So yeah, that is the kind of... Oh, hello, Harfy. Hi, buddy. So that is the theory behind the save, the theory behind the tactic. I want to test... playing players out of position, trying to get this 3-3-1-3 to work. I've got variations of it to work, but you wouldn't necessarily call them a 3-3-1-3. I've tried this with a central midfielder and a shadow striker, and it's just been much better with the shadow striker. There's a lot of good things that happen when the shadow striker plays, and it makes sense that these wide wingers will go to here, we'll go there, we'll go here, and it makes a lot of sense that these wide wingers stretch the play like they would in real life, and it makes a lot of space for this number 10, with the fullbacks not able to come across and crowd the center. They have to stay here, making a lot of space. And then what happens is the inverted wing backs get into these positions and get a lot of shots off. I'm hoping, if the test goes well, you're going to see a lot of goals from Parisi, who doesn't have the best finishing or the best long shot. It's not the worst, but not the best. And that could be changed to Kulpani, and Parisi will move out here. Maybe someone like Dodo or Spinazzola or Gosens will be sacrificed by that. I'm also not against playing Gosens as a target forward in some situations, but for now we'll keep Moise Kean. I was considering just playing Gosens up front and seeing if I could find another kind of weird player to play as striker, but it would require upsetting Kean and Kwame, and I think the balance in the team is just fine right now without doing the absolute most. But maybe after some transfer windows, we can bring in some a bit weirder out of position players. Some profiles of guys that will kind of show my thoughts towards what is considered in position, what are good attributes for a role, and then my theory that if you can get someone to do the basics of their position, they have a bit of marking, a bit of pace, a bit of defensive qualities. If they have loads of attacking qualities in addition to that, you'll see it's more effective than if someone was like a pure specialist for that role. Barak is one of the players that we tried to sell and he got injured. For me, he would have been a fine striker. There was a mentality that I was going to have where I either played him or Gosens up front, and then I just got rid of Keane and Kawame. But I just thought it was doing a little bit too much in terms of unnecessarily playing players out of position when I can just use what I've got, and then we can adapt and make it more difficult for ourselves if we choose to. So let me check that we've got everyone here that want to. Oh, this is Europa League. Let's put in the final guys for this. Hopefully we've got some. Hopefully we've got some of them in the youth team. Is that both youth teams? You need 4 players with homegrown status, right? I was pretty sure we had them, but I don't want to leave out Adley. He's my backup regista, I believe. But Pongriak is leaving anyway. Is anyone else leaving? Why is he not in? Okay. Is anyone else leaving that we don't have to have in the team? Goalkeeper, Richardson. And that looks fine for now, I guess. Yeah, he could have definitely been. Barak could have been a weird position. I had Barak in one draft one time, and he was absolutely terrible for me. So I kind of just think he's terrible, even though obviously he's not quick, and he looks like a player that you would look at and think I would like. He just did really badly for me in a draft, so I don't have any kind of affinity or feelings towards it. No positive feelings towards him because he did so badly for me in a draft mode tournament. But I like the idea of there was no one else that I kind of felt that I wanted to change, who I would have had to sacrifice in this 22-man squad. I didn't feel like anyone I wanted to get rid of. The reason I picked Fiorentina is I really like a lot of these players, and I feel like Baraghi was the perfect left side centre back for me. Matip was a good catch. Kawata could also be the good profile for this. Not perfect for me, but close enough. And I do want this run wide with the ball. Fullbacks to create this, and then we'll create this and get into these positions. And you'll see that often, not all the time, at a good frequency, not like every time, but at a good frequency, they'll get into those positions. I'm just accepting any offer that comes in for youth team players. I only want to sign players above the age of 30. That was another thing I haven't covered that much that I want to say, is that I just think there's loads of merit to finding really good undervalued players who are 29 and over, particularly 30 and over, such as Lazari. We've managed to pick up. Let's have a look at these transfers real quick again. If we look at Lazari, picking up a player of this quality for $2.5 million because he's 30 years old. Perfectionist personality, absolutely lightning, good defensively, perfect for my system. Picking up this guy for $2 million, bargain, absolute bargain squad player. Spinazzola on a loan deal, kind of fits the profile perfect of the wingers that I'm looking for, with a bit of height. Yeah, he's got a bit of height to him, can get on the end of crosses from the other side, from the other flank. And then a player like this is 29 years old. A player as good as this for 2.7 million. So I understand people, they want to find wonder kids. They want to find super good money ball players who are statistically performing well, and they're finding them for cheap, little sleeper players. But I think there's so much value in players who are 29, 30. You can pick them up for, no one I signed is more than 2.5 million. And they're top tier players that are going to do great. Who's that? I don't know who that is, Harvey. I vaguely recognize the name. But yeah, I'm also going to show we're leaning. There's no one here. Everyone's leaning on the attacking side. Even Matip has some really good qualities. He has some good ball playing abilities. I thought of the idea of a libero where he'd push up and that would push everyone up as well. So the libero would drive through the middle. The wingbacks would drive when they get the ball. And this was all based around kind of when we roll it out from the back, these guys are going to carry the ball. If they carry it here, that's great. If they carry it here, Parisi will move inside. If he carries it wide, he'll move inside. If he carries it through the middle. And then same with the ball. I feel like there's a lot of space for these guys to drive, and then a lot of problems that come from the opposition after that. And then with these guys, I'm not fully decided on marking the opposition fullbacks with our wingers, but it makes sense. I wanted to find players that had decent marking. I'm talking about decent relative marking for their position. So 10 plus would be good marking for a winger. And I wanted to see if that could do well against shutting down some teams, especially teams that like to focus out wide. We've tested this in Football Manager 23, and we just completely dominated the flanks. We're playing against a decent looking 4-2-3-1 here with some good players. We're going to see if our wingers can shut down their fullbacks. We're going to look to see if we can defend this center. I don't think Andre Anderson is the best number 10, so they're definitely weaker in that area. They're going to be strong in this defensive midfield area. Goodmanson, not the best ball player, not the best winger. I was really torn between having a ferocious ball winner, anti number 10 is what I'd call it. Effectively playing a ball winning midfielder as your number 10. But I thought that it could get a bit flat and defensive. So having Goodmanson or Kulpani in that role means we won't have a great press through the middle, but we will have a really creative player. We'll cause them problems in the sense that he's a really creative player who will cause them problems in different ways rather than just being effective in the press. So I'm weirdly forcing players into the center where we're weakest, but denying them wide outlets. It's kind of risky. I imagine we're going to concede some goals. But I do think we're going to be really exciting and really dangerous in the attack. Who's that? Laxtal who's that? Harvey? I'm not sure of that guy. Shall I look him up? So we're going to go full match straight away, and we'll only go full match just for a slight period, just to check everything's not too crazy. So we've got Parisi here, weirdly, who's our right inverted winger all the way over here on the left. We've got Baragi, this is our wide ball playing defender taking the throw in. We've got our Regista on the ball here. Dodo, he loses the ball immediately. We'll look at that and wonder if it's better to have someone stronger physically in that role. We'll have a look at that. So we've got Barisi here cutting inside, plays it to our winger. He's got run wide with the ball as an instruction. Wins a foul there. Reece James just becoming the Phil Jones of Chelsea. I know, it's so sad. No, I don't remember him, Harfy. So we've got Matip here. We expect him to drive sometimes when he's got space. We're against a 4-2-3-1 in build-up. Matip here finds Coyote. When he has runs wide, when he has runs with the ball down the right, you'll expect him to drive here more. And we've managed to get a decent overload there on the right with the Shadow Striker coming across. We had the Shadow Striker and the Regista come across, which is the plan. So if I can quickly show you. So say you come over there, the ball's played down the left. My goal is to get this many players over here, making it undefendable when we go from down left and right, with different variations in attack happening. And then hopefully we can make some space to find Goodmanson in central areas and get breaks like that. So back and forward at the minute right now, struggling to keep the ball in settled possession. We've got De Gea, just boots it. Not my preference there. I want to play through those stressful periods. We don't have play out of defense. I just don't like it, but we do have distribute to fullback. So I can kind of see why he blasted it there. We've got Parisi jumping up in the press. So even though we're pressing with a front four, we had Dodo blocking off the wide area, and we had Parisi jump in to kind of win us the ball back there. Here we've got Goodmanson. He's our most creative player that we want in space. We want him dribbling and running at players in the center. This is a new save, yes. We just started this one. I've been playing it offline. I did all of pre-season offline, did all my signings and everything, and now we're jumping into a tactic test. I've got this on full match right now for the first game, just to kind of see if anything isn't working how I would hope, how I've envisioned. I'm hoping that everything is working how I've envisioned so far. I'm not too concerned about results and performance, more so like this is a key thing that I was looking for. Like Dodo is man marking this fullback here, staying wide. So cutting off this wide option. If you can put a role to another position, where cannot be, which role position you'll do. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Tiki Press. If you can put to role to another position, where cannot be. I'm not sure what you mean. I would love to answer your question. I just not sure. We've got Parisi here out wide. When teams get wide here, he's got 3 players out wide. We had 5. So like Shadow Striker and winger position. But what I know, Matip with the tackle here. It was really, really, really important for my system that I got an amazing central defender, because we're going to be caught out a lot. These guys are going to be more attacking than normal. He's going to be left solo by himself. So we needed a top level centre back. If you tried this with a not great centre back, I think you would really struggle, because Matip is going to be working on overload. Yeah. Abel Hernandez is still in the game. He's an option for me. Ladirio is still in the game. Yeah, of course, I remember them. The other guys, Kakaris, I remember vaguely, just not that well. So you said if you can put role to another position, where cannot be? I'm not sure. I don't know if there's any role that I want to play. Gosens up front. I want to play Coyote as a centre back. There's no real like. You're saying what is the line? Are you asking Tiki Press? Are you asking like what is the cut off of the line where I just think it's like too far? Well, there's some players. 5'9" players can't play centre back. Guys that can't dribble can't play winger. Like, that's why Gosens is a wide target forward right now, because he has bad dribbling, but he's perfect for a wide target forward. And then you're asking, is that more so what you're asking? What is the line? What is the cutoff? Like, here we go, bang. Oh, I mean, we should finish there. That should be a goal. Yeah, there's a line that I'll cut off where it's too far. But with this, there isn't too much of a line. It's more of like player profiles. You see like Gurian there? Oh, Gosens, finish. Oh, we should... Another great chance. But I hope you can see now, by playing this in full match, kind of where our chances are coming from. Gosens getting down the line there. Gurian playing the pass that I don't think every left back would play. He's playing that because he's more of a playmaking, Mazzala, creative player, like more so than if we had a left back in that situation. He probably drives down there. Cavani is a ramdoider. I mean, I'm not really against anything that's experimental, but you can just assume some things are too far. There's a line that you can push too far where a person is just not suited for that role. My theory with this is even if players are not perfectly suited, they're going to offer you different things in different areas that's going to make it worthwhile. Like, Gurian's not going to defend this as well as some conventional left backs might. But he's going to off. How many seasons do you intend on playing this save? Probably 2, because I've got this transfer window, the next transfer window coming up, and then hopefully I can get players with all perfect player traits for their roles. See this. What just happened there is the perfect example of what I'm referring to. So we have a left ball playing defender who's getting up into this area. Generally, I would say that is a good thing. But with this tactic, I would say that is an incredible thing, because this guy has 16 crossing. He has 16 crossing, 14 passing, 14 vision, tries long range passes. Now, the fact that we can get this guy in attacking left wing back positions is extremely dangerous for our opponent, as opposed to a conventional, let's say a more conventional wide centre back like Kawata, who has 8 crossing and 11 vision and 12 passing, way less dangerous. So I wanted to make sure that we had players like Baragi that have height and some defensive qualities, but can also get into them really good crossing positions when we need to. Kayode is the other perfect example of that. If we train and mold Kayode to be, even though he isn't the tallest, he doesn't have the worst jumping reach, and he has good speed, good defensive qualities. If we can mold him into that kind of extra attacker, I feel that it makes us extremely dangerous, because we have a lot more unconventional ways to attack and a lot more things. It's not that teams are not used to it. It's just they're having sneaky attributes that they shouldn't have. If I could describe what I'm trying to do, it would be getting players to have sneaky attributes that they shouldn't have. Like my central number 10 has 17 dribbling and looks like a winger. He shouldn't really be there. It's not generally what you would expect from a number 10 to be this. And the player traits also explain a lot. I'd love that to be a goal there. You can see we're really kicking off in terms of chances. It's been 17 minutes now. We've had 6 shots, 3 on target, 0.88 XG. So we can see that they're really struggling with this. You can see that the opposition's really struggling with this so far, despite us being away from home. We've got Matip, and we had another great chance. This was the theory of getting the inverted wingbacks to shoot from this area. That wasn't a great example, him missing that. But I'll flick off after 18 minutes. I'm happy enough to flick now onto key highlights. And we'll do a bit of encouragement. I think we're playing really good. Disappointing to not have a goal. Their tactic looks great as well. 2 volantes, inverted wingers, attacking midfielder, target forward. We've got a full XG. They've had no shots on target. So yeah, disappointed not to be a goal up. and I really am thinking that this is not the worst idea. And against my first game, against a tough Lazio side with a lot of players still training to be in their roles or learning traits, once the traits and roles have developed, I think it's going to be much better. Not that I believe in the roles too much. I just think there's some things that I don't think really help, and there's some things that I think can't really hurt. So here we've got our shadow striker going out wide here. This is showing again another piece of versatility to our attack. And we got the perfect goal that I wanted, which was an inverted wing back cutting into the space open that's made. This time was made by the shadow striker. We have one inverted wing back coming in here, plays to the other inverted wing back who shoots and scores, comes off both posts. Pretty much a banger. But yeah, as I mentioned, getting these guys into this attacking position, into these shooting areas. They're like, everything's kind of tricking the opposition into forgetting about the inverted wing backs, and the inverted wing backs getting into goal scoring positions to shoot and score. Parisi's not the best finisher. He's not the perfect profile for this. Parisi's more of the perfect profile for my left winger, I would say. But for now, Parisi still has all the things I like. I like Kolpani more probably to be the inverted wing back on the right. We have Matip on a card. I am going to risk it for now because all of my other centre backs would be a significant downgrade. Goodmanson, I thought played well. He just missed a few chances. That is what I was accounting for, a 6.6. Don't know if I really want to take him off right now. I do have some good options. Gosens is playing all right. Dodo's playing all right. I can bring on Lazari for some fresh legs for Dodo on the right. Just a bit more dynamism, a bit more speed. Coyote looks like he's doing fine, and we'll just carry on with what we're doing. Yeah, I think that the inverted wing, my whole plan of this is to get the shadow striker in lots of space. This would be Goodmanson or Kolpani. And then to get Parisi and Gorian into these spaces scoring goals. This could also be Bove, who scored a decent amount of goals. It could also be Kolpani here. I'm not going to be tied to playing players in the same position. I'm going to switch it up a lot, experiment a lot. You'll see me play Gosens up front as well as wide target forward. I like the idea of wide target forward, and I'll explain just why really quickly. So we have a wide target forward. Why do I like wide target forward? Well, Gosens doesn't have good dribbling. He's got 11 dribbling. However, he's strong. He's got 13 strength and he's 6 foot. He can hold up the ball, and this allows for the underlaps. So I wanted to really make a good tactic that had underlaps that made a lot of sense. And by these guys running wide with the ball, holding the ball up, waiting for these guys to arrive in the box, we're going to attack in this 3-1-6 shape, which I think is going to be really dangerous for a lot of teams. If we think about the 4-2-3-1, getting these 6 players into these attacking positions is going to be really dangerous. Goodmanson's not having the best game right now, so I'm going to bring on Kolpani. I could have brought on another couple of options. I like Bove as a good defensive option, so we're going to bring him on. We could bring him on for Guerrerian. The reason I'm doing this is we're winning the game now. He's a bit more defensive. He's got a load of work rate, load of stamina, anticipation. We're going to bring him on. He just adds a bit more robustness. You want to have, when you're level or losing, you'd want to have Guerrerian, the more attacking, less defensively sound player. When you're winning, you'd kind of want Bove to just use his work rate, use his stamina to shut down the game, uses extra legs, extra determination to see out the game, basically. I'm kind of happy with this. Away from home, playing Lazio, 1.35 XG. Oh no. Yeah, worst possible injury probably for my test. I'd say Matip is the most important player in my whole system. And the reason he's the most important player is we need someone who is top tier for centre-back. Baraghi here. Gosens, the wide target forward, plays it to the Regista. Back to Gosens, who definitely doesn't have the best dribbling, as we can see. Baragi here somehow still finds himself on the right-hand side. I guess it's because he took the corner. Kawata comes on for Matip. Very nice. Lazari drops here as a winger on support. Drops here to help out. We've got Bove, plays it back to Baragi. Baragi back to Gosens, who shouldn't be carrying the ball, which he didn't. That's good. And then we've got Parisi, plays it back to Bove, who finishes. Again, another inverted wingback, getting into the mix, using Gosens, holding up the ball, not dribbling. That was exactly as instructed. Finds Kulpani, the new shadow striker. Lays it off to our inverted wingback, who assists the other inverted wingback. So we've got 2 goals this game, both with inverted wingback scorers and inverted wingback assisters. So pretty good example of our what we visualized as our plan working perfectly, which is the inverted wingbacks being impossible to track and mark by their wingers, and ending up being the free players in the circumstance to assist and score. And we get these nice fluid. I think Keane should have passed, man. Greedy. Parisi again, inverted wingback. Again, if the guy's got better finishing, better long shots, we're gonna have a much better chance there. I do love the idea of Kulpani being that inverted wingback. A player like Pessina is probably another one that would be beautiful, would be perfect. And you can see now Lazio kind of falling apart. And we're having a lot of ball and a lot of success with this. Let's hope Matip's injury is not too long, because that will be really devastating for showing you this tactic and how it works. As an example, find Parisi here as the inverted wingback in space. We had Lazari stretching the play again. Another really high potential chance in terms of quick development, quick attacks, finding players in space that can, unconventional players in space that could be really dangerous. Disappointed to concede a goal here, obviously. We got Keane tracking back, not the player I'd want tracking back. I think that is a bit of a negative with the pressing forward. They will go do defensive jobs that they shouldn't do, taking space that a better defensive player would have done. So I will rethink the pressing forward. I immediately know that goal came from a pressing forward mistake. If someone's like, no, it's great to have him pressing forward because he gets back and helps press it. He does, but he also takes up a player in terms of positional play. I mean, 2 weeks, we'll do our best to live without Matip. I know it's a big blow. Absolutely sucks. Is the key part of my tactic. Hopefully we have a easy game next. We do not have an easy game next. We're playing Inter Milan, but we do have a Europa League game. So for the Europa League game against Zurich, I'm going to play a complete rotated version of what I played. We'll play the equivalent of my cup goalkeeper. We'll play Ranieri as the left side centre back. We'll play Quattara as the centre back. We'll play Mario Fernandez, who I really like. It will keep the defender occupied the whole time, but I think advanced forward would do that also. I don't know if I want Keane and Kwame to be target forwards. Could use Gosens as a target forward, but that would leave out a lot of game time for Keane and Kwame, who need game time. So I really, 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 really like this player. This is probably, obviously he's not top tier, but he is of a good standard to be a backup, and he has all the basic attributes I would like for someone to get in this position, particularly the fact that he has finishing. A random amount of finishing for a player like this makes him perfect for me because he's going to get in shooting opportunities a lot. We're going to play a player like Adli as our Regista, because he's more on the attacking side with some defensive qualities. He's a perfect kind of Regista for me. I'd prefer if he was... He's just perfect. He's a perfect Regista. There's nothing I'd like more than him. We are going to use not Gosens this time. We'll use Spinazzola, and we'll start with not Dodo. We'll get Lazzari again. And then we'll go with Kolpani instead of Goodmanson because he didn't start. And then Kouame as the striker. So a full rotated a full rotated 11. And we'll see how it looks with players of different profiles. But obviously against a team way less strong than Napoli. Sorry, did I play Lazio? I get confused. But yeah, playing now again with a team who's way less good than Lazio, Zurich. And then we're going to have a really, really, really tough game against Inter Milan. The reason Inter Milan is going to be extra difficult, not because we're just missing Matip, because they play in a 3-5-2. The 3-5-2 is going to be awkward for us, I believe, because they're predominantly attacking in the center, which is the area we're weak. But the positive is we're attacking wide. We are going to have a lot of players in the wide areas where they're weak. So it's one of them things where we're not necessarily countering where their strengths are, which is what I like to do. That's my preference. What we're choosing to do is be more... Hopefully we're going to try and outscore them by being more attacking where they're defensive. So they're going to have purely one player on the flank to be able to defend all of this. But we're only going to have one defensive midfielder in the center to defend their midfield strength. So we'll see how that goes. Probably not great. I don't expect a win against Inter. If I really was playing this game with not in the view to test the 3-3-3-1, I would change to something else against Inter Milan just for this one game. But we're going to let it ride. And yeah, you can see here, scouting a bunch of older guys. We're only allowed to sign over 30 players or players that turn 30 in the first year when we sign them. So you'll see a couple of 28-year-olds that I'm looking at potentially for next season. Looked at Thomas Partey potentially for a right-sided ball-playing defender as his contract expires at the end of the season. And all the players that we're looking at are with the view to get them in the future. The player that I didn't register there is actually a decent player, the Amir Richardson. I think he's part American-Moroccan. And he looks like a tall, regista centre-back kind of guy. I really like the look of him. Where is he? He looks like he could develop great. I'm a bit worried that he's not that quick, but I'm looking at him for a centre-back regista in the future. Unfortunately, he won't be one of my wide centre-backs, as I want my wide centre-backs to have some crossing, getting in those dangerous positions. Now, Zurich are playing a 4-4-2, which I would say is my favourite formation I could face with this tactic. And hopefully we can see why. But effectively, we're playing all of our players in between the lines of a 4-4-2. So I won't go too in depth because we're going to see in-game what that looks like. But if you can imagine you have a 4-4-2 here, look at our 3-3-3-1. Every player is in between a line. Every player has no individual really to mark them outside of the winger. Everyone else is kind of in between the space. So I think that a 3-3-3-1 is super viable and makes perfect sense against the 4-4-2. Especially if it's a 4-4-2 where only one... If you think of it like a Man United 4-4-2 back in the Premier League where they only have one central midfielder attacking. Do they actually have Mascherano? Do they have the real Mascherano? I doubt it. So... don't think that's the real Mascherano. We've got Kolpani here. He's our shadow striker. Finds inverted wing back to the other inverted wing back. If I scored that, goal right there that hit the post, it would have been 3 of 3 goals where the inverted wingback has assisted the inverted wingback. I would have been happy to say if that happened, I would have been happy to say the least. I do really, really like the theory and the idea of the inverted wingbacks not being able to be tracked, both of them, and then linking up together to get goals. That seems a fun idea, and turning what is most people would consider is an underpowered role, the inverted wingback on attack, not really used in any kind of top tactics, and then finding a way where we can use combinations of other roles to make it overpowered. Like, we're forcing that role to be overpowered. I like the idea of that. Obviously, that comes at the expense of some other roles that might be great that we're not using, but we're focusing on those guys being predominant shot takers. If they had really good finishing, like Kolpani, as one of them roles, we could use shoot more often as an instruction, but for now, with 9 finishing and 10 long shots, I think that it's not completely justified. Mario, I like to take off any booked players if they're not totally essential. Last game we didn't take off Matip because he was totally essential, but this game Mario Fernandes is not totally essential, so I'd rather just sub him off. Even though it's 18 minutes into the game, I don't want to risk red cards or have that player compromised. So yeah. Another role that keeps defenders occupied is the enganche. The problem with the enganche is I'm making a lot of space for a shadow striker to move around and get free. That I want the shadow striker to be roam from position. I want the shadow striker like this, assister guy, to be able to move and get around. It makes more sense. I thought about the enganche if there was different roles. But if we look at the shadow striker here, ball's played out to the winger on support, drops deep to get the ball, finds the shadow striker finds the advanced forward finishes. So yeah. Not overwhelmingly incredible performance right now, but we did create a super good clear-cut chance there. And that came from a direct ball to the winger who dropped, and then a ball from the winger to the shadow striker, very direct, and then finds the advanced forward, creating a quick chance. And I really, really like those type of goals. I really like the idea of, hey, let's not keep the ball forever. Let's not pass the ball. Even though I do like periods of possession when needed, I like it when we can keep the ball, especially when we're winning. When we look great on the ball, create chances that way when we've got to break a team down. But if a team's going to push up and leave us a lot of space, we can then do that. We've got our Regista here, nowhere near being able to defend this. And then probably have one too many defenders held back there rather than one pushing up. I had thought about the idea of a libero being able to step out, but they would have dropped also in that position. We've got Lazzari and Spinazzola not having the best games, despite Lazzari being kind of key to creating that goal. Must be just losing the ball, running wide. Here we've got Spinazzola, who's instructed to run wide with the ball, even though he has cut inside as a player instruction. And there we have a good shot, again, from inverted wingback. Pretty close from our inverted wingback right there. Oi, cheeky free kick. Kolpani. Really like Kolpani. Kolpani is one of my favorite type of players, one of my favorite profile players. He's tall, he's strong, he's fairly quick, he can dribble, he can shoot, he can tackle, he's got work rate. He's just one of them complete players that I feel could play as regista, inverted wingback, shadow striker, wide target forward, complete forward. He's one of my favorite type of players because from my perspective, there's not really... I could play him wide, ball-playing defender if I was really, really adventurous. So we're going to put Goodmanson on, and we are going to drop Kolpani into this inverted wingback role, and Lazzari's going to come off for Dodo. They're going to share playing time. We're going to keep Spinazzola on, and he'll come off in the second half, probably for Gosens. Thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Bish. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we're playing a 3-3-1-3 with Fiorentina, and we are only signing players above the age of 30, and we're playing, I would say, the majority, the way I would phrase it is, always playing the majority of players in their non-conventional positions. Thank you. He can write the theme tune. He can sing the theme tune. If you know, you know. Kolpani again, inverted wingback. Now, guys, I'm not trying to say this is absolutely broken, but I will say that the inverted wingbacks are really broken in this tactic. So we've got our inverted wingback here, finding this space, and then driving. There's the person who's marking him. The person who's supposed to be marking the inverted wingback is back here off screen, just for a reference. And that is another inverted wingback goal. And is showing the dangers of being able to get in this space, having the play being stretched by Spinazzola and Dodo, they're being occupied by the fullback, and then getting these inverted wingbacks in to drive and being able to drive and get into shooting positions and causing teams horrific problems that they're not able to deal with. How would they even deal with the inverted wingback situation? Even a defensive winger wouldn't be able to help too much because they stay wide. So they might be reacting a bit too late to the inverted wingback runs. So we have Dodo here, Gudmundsson, and we got another lovely goal. Another great bit of build-up play here. Great bit of build-up play here. We find a striker, little counter. Kolpani finds the winger straight into our shadow striker, Gudmundsson, who's just came on, and now it's become... Probably have to man mark them two specifically with the wingers. You'd have to have your wingers, you'd have to have your inside forwards on mark inverted wingback. Yeah, that is probably the counter to that. I doubt the AI is going to come up with that counter. But yeah, that is something you would want. It would make you way less effective offensively by having to do that. Whereas that is similar to our circumstance where we have these guys man marking the fullbacks, but we're giving up a lot. That's why I like the idea of pressing forward, so he could come and help centrally, or a forward that could come help here. I also like the idea of this, with these two guys being maybe like a false nine and a pressing forward on support, something like that. But in my testing, it worked way worse. Yeah, thank you. It's not so much that I would say it's working. It's that cool things are happening that you don't see in most tactics. We found a way to get our inverted wingbacks into just edge of the box shooting areas, and we will train them on traits such as arrives in opponent area late, or gets into opposition box might be another good one, or just gets further forward, or arrives late, like any of those combination. Gudmundsson is obviously busted, and getting him as a shadow striker, as I thought, I just had this vision of this idea with the wide wingers stretch the play, mark the fullbacks, and they leave a lot of space centrally. Obviously, this is not the case. This is just a transition where the shadow striker's on roam from position. He's just going to find a decent position and shoot. He's got great finishing, great long shots, great dribbling, super dangerous player to have in space. So my thinking was, if you've got this player here, the number 10, Gudmundsson, this player's now in a pickle. Does he go with the inverted wingback, or does he stay with a shadow striker? If this player comes across here, we've got this inverted wingback. So my goal is to kind of beat the 4-2-3-1 by getting these players in these positions. So these guys are in between the lines, these guys are stretching, and then you've got inverted wingback leaves the defensive midfielders with problems. You're always going to leave one of these guys free, basically. And hopefully that's our ball receiver. The carrier gets pressed and finds one of the receivers in space. No problem. Thank you so much. Yeah, I like the idea of players being in space and cutting inside earlier. So I did think about having inverted wingers deeper, and I tried a lot of things. Had a lot of ideas about trying to get this to work. We've got Kolpani here with a straight 10 rating, played half the game as a shadow striker, played half the game as an inverted wingback on attack, again proving that players can play multiple positions, players can play in roles which, if we look at Kolpani, he's not a winger, he's not a wingback, and he can slot in perfectly as an inverted wingback and as a striker, wide target forward, any kind of role you could think of. He's going to play a game and be absolutely fine. So my main theory is don't worry too much about what position it says a player can play. Often it can be extremely dangerous that a player can have surprisingly good attributes for a role they shouldn't have in that role, especially if they're attacking attributes. I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm having wingers that are a bit more defensive, and I'm saying that's an extra quality. They sacrifice a little bit in terms of attack. They don't have the same finishing, same dribbling, same flair as a normal winger would have, but they have more defensive qualities. So we're just basically playing guys in positions where they have sneaky attributes that they shouldn't have. And kind of doing unconventional things in terms of player profiles. More obviously, it's an unconventional tactic. It's not the most commonly used tactic. It's one of the lesser used tactics. But having these players being weird profiles, generally you would have all these players not in these roles. This is not a normal thing you'll see. So we've got Matip, who probably isn't going to he definitely isn't going to make it back in time for this Inter Milan game, which really sucks because they have one of the best strikers in world football. I'd say in game, they have two of the best strikers in world football. I mean, Thuram and Martinez are extremely dangerous. We're going to have our 3 here. We're going to have our 1-1. We're going to have our wingers here, and we're going to have a lot of problems with this tactic. I can see it coming right now. Don't judge this tactic off against a Inter Milan 3-5-2 because it's not going to go as well as we would like. So we're going to pick Bove as our inverted wing back on this side. The reason we're going to pick Bove is he's just a bit more defensively sound than Guerrero. We're going to have Biraghi. We'll have Biraghi in this role. We're going to have Quarta, I guess, as the centre-back. We're going to lack some height this game. That's going to be one big negative. We're going to have Coyote as the right side centre-back, who's going to play like a wing-back / centre-back. We'll play Parisi again here. I'm tempted to play Kolpani, but Parisi's just much better defensively. We're going to struggle defensively in this game for sure. We could be cheeky and switch to a defensive midfielder. I think that makes sense. I don't want to change too much, but I do think that him as a defensive midfielder will add just a little. I prefer him being a regista against teams we dominate and then maybe not against others. We'll play Gosens on the left. He's seemed to be the best performing of the wingbacks right now. And we'll do Spinazzola on the right. And you'll notice he's inverted wingback in the system. He holds up the ball and tackles harder. He can hold up the ball. He's got 11 strength. He's 6'1". He is stronger than the average winger, but I wouldn't necessarily call him strong. We could do Kolpani. We could do Goodmanson. I'll do Kolpani because he offers a little bit more defensively. He actually has some work rate, some anticipation, some tackling we might need. So we're picking the profiles of players to make us more defensive than actually picking a more defensive tactic. We're leaving our tactic exactly the same. We're not changing our tactic. We're just adding more defensively sound players in roles where we've had more attacking players before. It makes sense, I think. You want to, against more dangerous opponents, you want to give yourself more of a chance to defend situations than you need to be able to attack them. I'm sure that makes sense. And then You maybe possess less of a goal threat in certain circumstances because you're choosing these less technical players over more defensive players. So I like the theory of we start defensive against really strong teams, and then we can, if we go a goal down, we can bring on the attacking guys. Whereas against weaker oppositions, I prefer to start with the attacking guys and then bring on the more defensive ones if we're winning by 1 or 2 goals, something like that. And then if it's a blowout and we're killing the team, we can just play super attacking and keep the pressure on and continue that way. So I hope that makes sense. We're choosing to be more defensive by player types, more so than changing our tactics to be defensive. And I also like the idea of being attacking with defensive players, because it's a nice balance where mentally you're attacking more, mentally you're pushing things, you're trying to get involved, creating chances, but overall your team's excellent defensively, so it makes up for the fact that you're overly attacking. I've done that many times. I won the Champions League with a Fulham team, and I made sure that every single player on my team was really good defensively. I did it with Leeds as well, but not to the extent I did with Fulham. And every player in the team had good tackling, good work rate, positioning, off the ball in every role. But I played insanely attacking. So what we lacked in kind of creativity, we made up for by pushing it and being in the opposition's area all the time and being able to win tackles, win balls up high with our kind of... I had Madi Kamara. I won the Champions League with Fulham with Madi Kamara as my attacking midfielder. And yeah, we just played defensive wingers in a 4-1-3-2 and just had 2 pressing forwards that both could tackle, that were more so like number 10. They were more like Kolpani type profile players as strikers. And it really worked. Do you think counters, as in fast breaks, are underpowered? Oh man, no. They're super OP. Feels like I never score or concede them. Might be unlucky. I think you should try and watch some games in full match, just for some periods of time, like 30 minutes. Watch 30 minutes of a game. Watch the transitions. Watch what might happen. It might be because your lines are so pushed up that you don't actually have the time, don't actually have opportunities to counter very much, or the AI is just doing such a bad job of attacking that you're not countering. Fast breaks, you might have some things that stop you from breaking fast, such as overlaps or underlaps, prevent you from countering quickly. Pass ball into space is a great one for countering. I'm not using it right now. I feel that it would be good for the player profiles that I have. I'm indifferent about using pass ball into space. I'll use it depending on the circumstance. We'll look at Inter Milan as an opposition and how they're going to set up, even though I know I'm not going to change too much. In terms of defense, do they have the quickest defense? And I would say yes. They're not the quickest, but they're pretty quick. And thank you, Never My Fault. Thank you for the follow. And then they've got obviously the super danger of Martinez and Thuram. I think if there was ever a time that I wanted to drop my line by 1, despite having a fast defense, right? Baragi's quick, 14-14. We've got 14-13, and we've got 15-14 respectively. I still think 1 notch down will probably save us a lot of hassle and counters. You've put counters fresh on my mind, so I think with Thuram and Martinez, if there's ever a team in the world football right now that I'd like to drop my line for, I'd say it's Inter Milan. I don't think we're going to do well this game. It doesn't really make theoretical sense that we do well, but we do have a chance to get lucky. People ask me often, what do you do against teams that are much better than you? Well, if you're resigning to the fact that you're most likely going to lose the game anyway, like you've accepted that defeat is the most likely thing, okay? We have accepted defeat is a high likelihood in this game. We might as well try and attack the areas where we're strongest, because we can't counter the fact we couldn't say we wanted to match up with them. They're playing a 3-5-2. We also would choose to play a 3-5-2 and just counter them, right? We'll play effectively +1 in defense, -1 in attack. That would be a sensible thing to do. However, we won't dominate a midfield because they have the best midfield in the league. They have Çalhanoğlu, Barella and Mkhitaryan as their 3 midfielders. We're not going to do great against that if we match up man for man anyway. So we'd need to kind of put 4 in the midfield and play with -2 in attack. So what I would probably do if I was really, really wanted to not get beat, would play a 3-4-2-1. So we have 4 box midfield in the middle here. And we probably wouldn't score very many goals, and we'd probably struggle in the game anyway. We'd struggle offensively. So there is a good argument to, you might as well just play to your strengths. We should be able to defend these wide areas well. And we're lacking a Matip as well. So lacking your best centre-back in a tactic that really requires you to have an amazing central centre defender. So they're still going wide, and now you see they find space in the middle. They always will have this free man. Luckily, it was a poor pass from Barella. Gosens dribbling with the ball there was not my preference. We find our inverted wing back in space again, and then we get a goal somehow. Might be offside here, close. I was excellent at calling these onsides, offsides, but I've been so bad lately. Okay, it was onside. We find a advance forward who drops deep on roam from position. We've got our inverted wing back that finds our winger who dropped in. Positional play, the winger comes inside here. He's inverted winger, but he's still on stay wider. But with positional play, he knows to take up the central area. Kayode as centre-back is genius. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That was an inspired thought. Can I tell you that you will never believe this, but Kayode's other position in my team is another unlikely one. If I put him here, he immediately goes to wide target forward. He had a couple of games in friendlies and pre-seasons where he got perfect 10 ratings. In games where he played as wide target forward, he was incredible. Hey, saw a few of your YouTube vids and thought they were awesome. Have you ever done the opposite of this and done a youth academy challenge? I would love someone to answer. Never my fault. I would love someone to answer your question. Never my fault. I would like someone that watches the channel all the time to answer that. I am of the opinion that old players is the funnest way to play the game. Well-known, fun older players like Lazari, like wow. I like the idea, like for me, Gosens is about as fun as it gets, right? In terms of Football Manager, the ability to use a player like Gosens who can play left back, left wide target forward, striker. And then to find a player like, I don't know, give me another example. I don't know, called Pani. Like they have so much more character and they're so much more developed in terms of players that I find interesting to use, right? If we look at, I don't know who we can, another examples in this team of players that I love. Spinazzola, look at Spinazzola. He's just so weird and interesting and so unconventional of a player. I don't find that you get the same interesting attribute combinations as in Regens or Wonder Kids. You kind of get these weird players that kind of ruin tactics for me because they don't have these accurately developed, well-rounded skill sets that you get from these older guys. And everyone already just signs Wonder Kids relentlessly, and I find it so uninteresting for me personally because every save I watch, everyone ends up having pretty much the same team after 5 or 6 years or so, 5 or 6 seasons. Everyone's going to have the meta Wonder Kid type players. Or, yeah, it's cool to develop players through your youth team, but I never find them as interesting as like a Bove. Bove has some regen looking like qualities, but Gosens is what I like, these one of a kind type players that you can find that exist in real life. I find them much more fun. But in a youth academy, never transfer in players. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm in a challenge where you don't sign anyone, just rely on youth academy. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, just bring the youth players through. But I find it too constricting rather than just buying players or finding players that I find interesting. Most of the players that I find interesting are on the older side. Like, I don't think there's a player right now. I'll try and think of some. Pacina. I like a lot of Italians. Biased towards the Italians. But if we look at Baraghi right now, he's a 6'1", fairly quick, ball-winning midfielder looking, winger type, can play anywhere. Like this to me. But the Arsenal save was not really focused on academy players. The Arsenal save was more focused on making sure old players stay at the club and keeping everyone forever and never letting anyone leave. But if we look at a player like Baraghi, I mean, he's great at set pieces. He's got all these sneaky attributes. Like, I find this player fascinating. He's one of my favorite players on the game. Super interesting to me. There's not many times I would go out and sign him because he's 31 years old, and I wouldn't see him in many people's saves because he's 31 years old. But here I am with a save where I have a chance to get all the players I like without really prioritizing the future of the club or being as like, it's not a Moneyball save, right? This is the inverted wing back again. It's not a Moneyball save where I'm trying to sign the best undervalued players and develop them and sell them for a massive profit. I'm trying to find players I love and keep them until they start to decline. Is a thing that I feel is far more fun. Here we go. Gosens as a wide target forward. At the back post, received the ball from the inverted wing back. Look at our press here. It looks terrible. I'm glad they've gone long. Okay, I'm glad they've gone long because our press did not look great. Remember when we did the 3-3-1-3 with Willem II and we won the Eredivisie the first season we were promoted? We had a very different 3-3-3-1 to this where we had overlapping wing backs and inverted wing backs. Whee! And we never had the... we never found the profile of wingers that would do the job that we wanted. So we always had inverted wingers or shadow strikers. And then we had overlapping fullbacks. Very different to this tactic. But it kind of still does the same thing. We have Gosens here on a 6.5 as the wide target forward. Not doing too hot. We'll bring on Lazzari for the extra pace. We'll switch Spinazzola so Spinazzola can be on the left, cutting in from the left, and we have Lazzari running wide with the ball. We have Parisi and Bove still getting into these positions. We don't need to score another goal. So I think we have the right profiles on right now. And then if we do happen to concede a goal, we'll bring on a couple more attacking options. Not necessarily changing roles, not necessarily changing mentality or anything like that. Just bringing on more attacking players for more defensive players. It's fun and also frustrating trying to find a tactic that works with all random kids that you have. You've helped me. Never my fault. You've helped me explain it. The most unfun saves I've ever had. I'll give you an example. I had a Deportivo A Coruña save. And my whole team were regens. And it was awesome because I loved all my regen players that I developed. However, some of the players were so niche that they were only could play in certain roles. For example, like a fullback on defend, and then we had another player that could basically only be a DLP. There was nothing else he could do. And then I've built this tactic around the players I have, a tactic that I don't find fun, don't find interesting, can't change anything around, can't alter anything because I'm confined to these weird regens that kind of can only do one thing. They're not like well-rounded, they're just specialists in a certain area. And then I'm stuck playing this one tactic because all of my players are kind of one-trick ponies. I'd love to find that save and bring it up and show everyone. It was awesome because I had 3 outwardly gay players. They were like, I had 3 players on my team that were gay. They come out in like the news that these players were gay. And then I had this awesome team of regens where they were just such funny, interesting regens. But it forced me to play. I mean, probably now I could come up with something else or be more adventurous. But inverted fullback was not in the game at the time. A few other roles. Libero on central libero wasn't in the game. That could have been ideal for one of my guys. So, yeah, that was a super interesting and fun save. but it got ruined. How did I decide on this tactic? This is going to be recorded for YouTube, and I will post a VOD. I did go over it at the start, but I'll go over it again just for you real quick. So my theory of this tactic is going to start with wanting to play players out of position, because we get a lot of conversations. No problem, Blind Duality, I got you. I wanted to talk about playing players out of positions. So I was like, okay, what could I make that would theoretically work well, but play players out of position? And first idea was I wanted wingers. Let's move this around. I wanted wingers that would be wide wingers on support that would stretch the play. Alternatively to what the meta is right now, the meta is having inside forwards sitting narrow. So I wanted wide wingers because I believed that they would still stretch the play. I also wanted to play wing backs as wingers so they could man mark and defend the wide players. So these guys would have better defensive qualities, be more effective in the press, and stop teams out wide while stretching the play. I wanted to have a winger as a shadow striker, someone who wouldn't generally play in the middle, but would be kind of your super attacking winger with no defensive qualities, but playing here instead. I wanted to have players high here beyond the pressing wingers. I wanted them here in space who could drive infield. Also, if a regista picked up the ball, these guys could get into this area and be extremely effective. And I wanted my attacking shape to be a 3-1-6 or a 3-1-5-1 is kind of what my attacking shape I wanted to be. Then I also wanted to play wing backs. Can you tell I love wing backs? I wanted to play a tactic with as many wing backs as possible. I wanted to have a wing back as my wide centre back and a wing back as my left side wide centre back, and playing them as ball playing defenders. And I wanted them to have the trait run wide with the ball to get into these attacking areas to completely overwhelm these areas. So in occasions we would defend like this, depending on who progresses the ball. And I wanted these players to build up and drive with the ball, play with this 4v4 in build up, and to get these inverted wing backs in these dangerous, undefendable positions. My theory in my head was play everyone out of position, play wing backs as wingers, and play attacking midfielders as inverted wing backs, and get them into these spaces to shoot and score goals. My primary goal scorers wanted to be inverted wing backs. I know that the inverted wing back on attack was underpowered, so I wanted to make a tactic that made the inverted wing back busted. What role would Mkhitaryan be for me? He'd probably be my regista, right? He'd probably be the reduced player. Since I've been experimenting my save, I'm seeing what works for me. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I tried to approach it from a logical perspective. However, I do obviously feel that the big flaw in this tactic is not being able to defend the central areas very well. You can see this game I switched Mandaragua or whatever. I'm not even going to attempt it. So we're going to come on. Generally, I'd bring on Goodmanson because he is of the more attacking variety. However, now we're going to bring on Cataldi because he's a bit more defensive, and play him as attacking midfielder and tell him to dribble, not dribble, right? Don't dribble more. So now we're going a bit more defensive. We're winning by 2 goals. There's 20 minutes left. We don't need to take more risks by bringing on offensive players. You could try and argue that you could just bring on an attacking player, try and get one more goal and see out the game. But I'll bring on Cataldi. He's had no real playing time so far. He's a bit more of a midfielder, more than he is a shadow striker, more than he is a Mazzala. We have Bove and Spinazzola getting tired now. We're going to make sure that we don't have tired legs in key positions. So Adley's going to come on for Mandalorian. We're going to bring off Bove for Guerrerian. We could use Dodo, but we're going to bring off Spinazzola for Dodo. Again, keeping fresh legs. Dodo, if we look at Dodo, he's certainly not an inverted wing back on the left, but we don't care. We feel that he has all of the attributes that could be fine in that position. So again, player profile shift right now, where we're player profile shift where we're just bringing on we're prioritizing fresh legs, no yellow cards, playing players, even though, look at this, he's the winger on support defending this. Winger on support has got all the way back to defend it. That's why I like winger on support. Could my DM Volante. Can't have a Volante in the center. If I was being real cheeky and I wanted to lock up this game, I would. Here we go. Baragi, please. I really, really wanted a Baragi goal there just to reaffirm my point that having a wide centre-back who's a ball-playing defender, who has loads of good offensive qualities, again, is another sneaky little way of getting a more versatile attack, right? We've got Dodo here. He's going to cut in on his right foot, loads of space. I would have loved that goal. So what have we got? The sneaky wing back playing as centre back can get in attacking positions. Sneaky left back can get in attacking positions. A sneaky inverted wing back that can get into outside the box shooting areas. A sneaky inverted wing back that can get in here, and a shadow striker that's moving around like crazy. I think that is a lot of... So if we think of it from a what would you do to defend this perspective, the inverted wingbacks seem incredibly hard to defend, right? They just naturally are going to... Their marker is going to be left behind. Also, the marker of the ball-playing defender is going to be a striker. They're going to be nowhere near him by the time he gets in attack, right? So... looks like we're going to get a really unexpected win here against Inter Milan. Our first two games, Lazio and Inter Milan. And we've got the win with playing players out of position, playing weird tactics, playing players in unconventional roles, playing Kayode as centre-back, Baragi as centre-back, having sneaky... We're still running at the bare minimum of defence, okay? And one of the main reasons... have you ever thought of doing a retro save? Nah, I don't want to go into why not. The only retro save I'd do is probably Premier Manager 97. If I could get Premier Manager 97, I'd probably do that one. Just for the nostalgia from when I played it when I was a kid. So we'll save this right now. We don't want this to mess up. So I see on posts all the time, and I see comments on YouTube videos, and I see people talking, and they'll be like, this guy's not good enough. He doesn't have good enough marking. Or I would never have that guy as a winger. He doesn't have enough agility. Or I would never have that striker for X reason. I would never have that guy as a regista. He doesn't have the best dribbling or whatnot. My theory is, as long as a player has enough about them to encompass a role at the minimum standard, okay? I hope I said that with not just being a word salad. For example, as long as Kolpani can mark a little bit, tackle a little bit, and has a little bit of positioning, his Florenzi would work well. He's on the transfer list. Now, I like that you said Florenzi because he is on the transfer list right now. Okay, the problem with Florenzi is which role would you play Florenzi in my system? There's loads of players that I like in the save that I haven't been able to get because they just don't fit in the system very well. Now, he can't play ball-playing defender on the right for me, despite having runs with the ball down the right, my favourite player trait for a wide centre-back, because he is too short. So this guy can't play as a centre-back, he's too short. Now, he could play inverted wing-back, but I prefer better passing and vision. I've got no issue with him being inverted wing-back, because he shoots from position. So the only position he could play is right wing. Right wing, I just don't feel he has as good enough qualities. For example, if we compared him with, say, Lazzari, and we look at Lazzari absolutely smokes him in the kind of physicals. Hello, howdy. Hi, David of Twitch. Hello. So yes, I feel that he would just be way better than him in terms like that. One of the guys I think would, you could make a good case for us getting at some point, is Zambrotta. Zambrotta would be someone who could play right side center. Zappacosta, not Zambrotta. Not DM, maybe. Not good enough passing vision for me. If we look at who I'm currently playing DM, you'll see why. So this guy's 6'1". He's got just enough jump and reach for me to be centre-back. He can run with the ball down the right, get forward if possible, shoot from distance. I don't love him as the inverted wing-back on the left, but he still would be fine. I'd prefer someone with better finishing. However, he could be a right-side centre-back, and I did look into him for sure. There was another couple of players I looked at. Let's look at the short list and what I have in terms of my vision. Pacina, who's currently injured, would be perfect inverted wing-back for me. He has a finishing, some long shots, all the work rate, some speed. He's tall. He could be also a left wide centre-back for me. I could see this guy playing in like 5 or 6 positions in my team for sure, even as striker. Klosterman would probably be a perfect wide centre-back for me. Again, as you can imagine, this is the type of profile of player I would look for a wide centre-back. Oh yeah, Pacina Libero, that sounds like something I would do. Rabiot we tried to get. He'd be a perfect inverted wing-back for me. Berardi, this would be a perfect shadow striker. Emerson would be a perfect left winger for me. I like that. This is the sort of profile I'm looking for in my wingers. Really attacking wing backs that hug the line and do stuff like that. This guy would be another good shadow striker profile for me. Politano would be another good shadow striker type player. Mings would be my perfect left side centre back kind of guy. Runs with the ball down the left, my favourite trait. Kondogbia would again be my favourite kind of left side centre back. Also, maybe potential for inverted wingback. Gradit as well. Zappacosta, Matt Doherty. Matt Doherty, perfect ball playing defender for me. Runs with the ball down the right. If you notice, I really try and target those players that have runs with the ball down the right or left, who are tall, well-rounded kind of players is what I'm looking for. So there is a certain kind of profile of player I'm targeting. Again, we are winning 5-1, I think it was, on aggregate in the Europa League. So we're going to play Zurich again. We're going to play a fully rested side. We're going to play every player that we didn't play. Matip is probably coming back from his injury. We could bring him on this game. Nah, he comes back in 5 days. We won't bring him on this game. No point of risking him. We'll do Coata. We'll have Mario Fernandes again. Mario Fernandes is a 33-year-old that we picked up for free, Russian guy. He's got some pace, he's got some mental attributes, runs with the ball down the right again. That's why we went and got him. He was also very cheap and not much wages. Happy to be a squad player, so a good backup for Kayode, who I've got as my long-term vision for that right ball-playing defender, right wide centre-back. I say wide centre-back, but I mean ball-playing defender. But I mean, when you have a ball-playing defender who runs with the ball down the right, yeah, sure. I can see that with sure, yeah. What about Zinchenko? I know he's not 30 now, but he's getting there. Zinchenko's the type of player I would get. Where would I play Zinchenko, would you predict, Harvey? Mario used to be a Brazilian wonder kid. I'm not sure. Is he part Brazilian? Ah, he used to be Brazilian wonder kid. That's funny. So, in regards to your question, Harvey, where would you see me playing? Where would you see me playing these players? Now, keep in mind, a lot of these players cannot play these roles. However, we've had quite a long preseason, and I've played quite a lot of preseason games to get them up to scratch in their natural, get these positions more natural. But my question to you, Harvey, is where would you see me playing Zinchenko in this system? We could put Gosens on. He hasn't had the best time in the last couple games, so we could bring him on we could just start him for the confidence. We could do Lazari to get him up to full fitness, or we could do Dodo. I think I'm just going to go Lazari again, get him up to full match sharpness. Goodmanson didn't play in the last game, so he can play in this one. And Kouame has been our backup striker, so we're going to play him as backup striker. We're going to play our backup goalkeeper as well. Zinchenko Regista. Nah, I would play... Zinchenko is my perfect profile. Zinchenko is my perfect profile for a right inverted wing back. Let's have a look at Zinchenko. He doesn't have the finishing and long shots I would love, but I mean, he's got a bit of long shots, but he's just one of the most technical players we would have in the side, and I want them players here. So I'd play Zinchenko as an inverted wing back. I'd also happy with him being Regista too, of course. Regista. But if you look at these players that we're targeting and we're talking about, the thing that they'll have in common is they'll have multiple positions they could play. That's my favorite profile of player. So Zinchenko technically could play Regista, left inverted wing back, right inverted wing back, left winger. Maybe even shadow striker if you wanted to get real spicy. But you'll see the profile of players we're targeting, and my favorite players on the game are players like Kondogbia, Zambo Anguissa, Zakaria, players that you can imagine as centre backs, DMs, inverted wing backs, and then again players like Zinchenko who could play a variety of positions, Gosens. If any player looks like they can play 3 or 4 positions naturally, even though if it doesn't say it in the game, I'm talking about what we believe their attributes could play. It's not necessarily what the game says. This is a guy we looked at, a bit younger than we're looking for. We're looking for over 30s only, or 29 and over. This would be a great inverted wing back on the right, left-footed, has a lot of good qualities. Maybe not the pace I would love. Zinchenko a bit short for centre-back, I believe, if I remember correctly. But I do like a minimum jump and reach of 12. Hi, Leeds. How you doing? I'm doing okay, thank you. All things considered, I'm doing not too bad. Had some awful news that I don't want to talk about that is making me not the best, but Mazauri is another one, the perfect player. I'll have a look at them for you now. All things considered, I'm doing all right. Mazauri is like my perfect player, right? There's no one in their right mind that would think, knowing me, that I won't love that guy. Let's have a look. I would say this guy can play striker, and striker. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, it's okay. I would say this is just a striker to me. He doesn't have any crossing. My wide target forwards have to have some crossing. Yeah. Basically, any player that I play wide target forward. If we look at Gosens here, he's wide target forward. He's going to hold up the ball. I prefer him to stay wider. I forgot about that one. He marks the fullback, and he is generally going to be on cross more often. He's got 13 crossing. That's just about the cut-off that I would justify for cross more often. However, I am so sad that Gosens has not been on stay wider. That has definitely been contributing to potentially why he's not been as good right now. And I would like to have Gosens as a wide target forward that stays wider. In my wide target forwards basically have to be tall, good jump and reach, strong, and have some crossing. If they've got absolutely no dribbling, that's fine, because dribble less comes with wide target forward. We praise up the boys. We're winning 5-1. We're not drawing 0-0. We are winning 5-1. And yes, I like the idea of my wide target forwards to be able to cross, not necessarily dribble. Dribbling is really unimportant to me. We've got the inverted wing back here, getting on an underlap. Why more crosses instead of searching for underlapping inverted wing back? Costis, you're asking great questions. I'm going to call this question of the day, Costis. And I've been really struggling with this. So I'm caught in two minds, all right? And I'm glad that you asked this question, because the reason I love this question so much is you really, really understand this tactic, and you really understand what I'm trying to achieve. So I'll do my best to explain it. It's quite complicated, but I'll try and explain it. It makes sense that this is a wide target forward. He holds up the ball and he doesn't cross as much. And then we get an inverted wing back here and he lays the ball off to him. Okay? And then we create a goal from that. Okay? So say this was a wide target forward, and originally we had wide target forward, wide target forward. So wide target forward would get the ball out wide. He would have the ball. A wide target forward profile would be like Coyote and Gosens. He holds up the ball and then he plays the ball into the inverted winger, and the inverted winger scores a goal. Or sometimes crosses to the striker, sometimes plays it to the shadow striker. All right. And then maybe if you had a wide target forward, sometimes crosses to the back post to the other wide target forward. I love that. I love that idea. The problem is I haven't been able to find the profile of players to be able to achieve this. The only one that we currently have in our squads are Gosens and Coyote, if we keep in mind that we also want them to be defensive. So Gosens, perfect wide target forward, makes perfect sense. This guy comes in, he holds up the ball and lays it off to the inverted wingback. And then that's great. Gosens doesn't currently have cross more often for the same theory that you're thinking. Still has the defensive attributes to be able to press and mark, track a wingback or a fullback, but he holds up the ball and will play the guy to here. The issue is I've been able to find Spinazzola, who you could argue could be a wide target forward. He's strong enough to hold up the ball he's tall enough to just do the wide target forward things. However, his dribbling is great, so I don't want to tell him to dribble less. So inverted winger that holds up the ball, but then he's still got great crossing, so he has to be on cross more often from my perspective. Now Lazzari has runs with the ball down the right. We could have him cross less often, but what role would he have to be? So say we wanted to play Dodo or Lazzari. Now the two things that Dodo and Lazzari have in common is runs with the ball down the right. So what role would I need to play Dodo or Lazzari in to achieve them crossing less? So let's have a look at the roles that are cross less. Advanced playmaker, I'm not having Lazzari as advanced playmaker. Inside forward, don't want them cut inside on their weaker foot. Trequartista, definitely not. Wide target forward, they're both too small. Raumdeuter, all right. Raumdeuter, pass it shorter, cross less often, get further forward, roam from position, move into channels. I definitely could see an argument for this because both of them have great off the ball. Both of them can be a Raumdeuter, right? They don't have necessarily the dribbling to justify dribble more. They don't have the crossing to justify crossing more necessarily, but sit narrower. Yeah, exactly. Sitting narrower is the opposite to I want to stretch the play. So I believe I've only got two options. Inverted winger, right, but cuts inside with the ball, or winger that runs wide with the ball but is forced to cross more often. So I have two choices. Have them cutting inside on their weaker foot and crossing less, or winger staying wider and crossing more. So that's why I've ended long-winded explanation for that question. But I've settled on winger, and as a result of that, they cross more, even though it doesn't perfectly align with everything else I'm trying to do. If you could put cross less often on a winger, I'd probably do it in this circumstances. If you could do hold up the ball with a winger, I'd do that as well. There's another argument for could you switch sides of both of the wide players and have them both on inverted winger, and then maybe they can have a trait run wide with the ball so they can go in and out and cross less often. The problem with that is they'd be cutting in less. My question is, why the wide forwards to cross more? Yeah, there's no other role. Cross more often. I thought I explained it. So when it's a winger on support, it has hard-coded cross more often. I can't take it off. It's hard-coded cross more often. If I could have cross less often, I would do it. What I'm trying to say is there's no alternative role. The only other one is wide target forward. I agree. Wide target forward, Gosens. He's already on it. Now, Lazzari cannot be wide target forward. He's 5'9" with 7 jumping reach and 8 strength. Dodo is 5'5" with 8 jumping reach, even though he has 14 strength. So Gosens has cross more often though. Gosens does not have cross more often. Where is cross more often? He does not have cross more often. So there we go. That was a long-winded way to explain that, but yes. The best I could come up with is the fact that they will just cross more often until I can find profiles of wingers who will not have to put the camp. I'd prefer, my dream would be able to play 2 wide target forwards. Originally, I had Kayode in mind for the wide target forward on the right and Gosens as the wide target forward on the left. I think that is what made the most sense. However, Kayode then become the most likely player I wanted to be a ball playing defender. So my options are to eventually have Kayode as the wide target forward and find a more suitable wide centre back. So say we got rid of Gosens, maybe not Gosens because we like him, but say we got rid of Dodo, and then we had Kayode here as wide target forward, we had Gosens as our other wide target forward, we had Fernandez as our backup wide centre back, and then we found a profile of right side centre back that was better, would mean Kayode could be the wide target forward and hold up the ball, cross this often, do cutbacks to the inverted wing back. Not that crossing into the box is the worst thing ever. We have our ball playing defenders do that too. So we look at Lazari here. He's a winger. He puts a cross in. He finds the wide target forward for a header at the back post. So cross more often is not exactly the worst thing ever for a really fairly good crossing wing back playing as winger. So yeah, we've got our inverted wing back here, tracking back to receive the ball, finds a regista, finds the winger on support, plays the ball infield, shadow striker, plays it back, ball playing defender. We've got inverted wing back who's tucked in narrow. We've got a winger on wide. He's found the shadow striker. They're linking up. Shadow striker puts a cross into Kwame, who should really, I wouldn't say he should finish that. It's hard to score them ones, but you'd expect him to find a side of the keeper there. But yeah, a direct cross there from a winger finding a wide target forward is exactly one of the principles I wanted. We'll make the squad happy. This is making me want to create 2-3 formations with specific tactics underpinning. I've been dynamically creating tactics in each opponent, but not with any real tactic behind it. Just right players and right positions with principles. Yeah, exactly. It's a good idea. It's fun. So we've had a good little experiment here, and we've had different ways of creating goals. I don't think a winger on support crossing into a wide target forward who's heading at the back post is a goal that many people score in Football Manager. It's not a common occurrence for most people, just because most people don't value the wide target forward, even though I think it's great in certain circumstances. What circumstances do I think are great for the wide target forward? Well, one, if you have a perfect wide target forward like Gosens, we're going to play Parisi as winger here for the fun. Kawata is going to come off. We don't have an appropriate centre back right now, which is concerning. So we're just going to play this guy centre back. Adley is not exactly tired. This guy's having a good game, but he's come back from fitness. We can just stick Dodo in there, maybe, or Spinazzola. We'll do Spinazzola there just for the fun. We'll put Spinazzola. We'll get Mario Fernandez off because he's do that. Where's Kayode? Am I not seeing it right? We'll put Kayode here to protect. Fletch site tangent. How's the F1 coming to Vegas this year affecting locals? When the F1 comes and they're building the track and they're doing it, we just avoid the strip like the plague because of the construction, the traffic. Generally, we try to avoid the strip because it's so busy and manic anyway. Hi, John Wolves. Hi, buddy. We try to avoid the strip in general, but even more so when the F1 is on. It does really affect local businesses. It's really rough for them. There's no way you can recuperate, be it your business closed down for a couple of weeks for setup and then make that back through extra tourism. You kind of just, your business just kind of dies. So it does kill a lot of businesses in the area. Locals don't love the F1. The F1 isn't even like the streets they use aren't even really great for F1 either. I mean, I'm sure it looks cool when you watch it on TV, but I can't. If there was a vote to not allow the F1, I would definitely vote for it. It's definitely, whatever they say about it, increasing tourism and whatnot, it destroys it for too much time during setup to ever make it worthwhile. They definitely like to inflate the numbers to suit certain things as well. How am I? I'm doing all right, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate you asking. How are you, John? So 8-1 on aggregate against Zurich. As expected, we're obviously a much better side in general. We've got Coyote there, the ball-playing defender, finds the shadow striker, sends it into our advanced forward, who finishes. I do think advanced forward makes the most logical sense. I did really want to try pressing forward, but I immediately see some problems with that. Pressing forward has a massive, massive flaw to it. Massive, massive flaw to it. I'd love to explain why I don't like the pressing forward. Okay, I'll do my best to explain it. The pressing forward is generally not your best defensive player. The problem with a pressing forward is he'll chase the centre back, then he'll chase the fullback. Now let's say this fullback is now beating him, right? And he's chasing him down here. Because of positional play, it means that this player won't step in to double up on the guy. So what would have happened if this guy was advanced forward is this guy would just carry the ball, then he'd get engaged by the defensively sound player here, who'd then engage with him, okay? But what you've got instead now is a pressing forward who's chasing this guy, a number 2 who's good defensively backing off, and now you're not getting the same quality in terms of defensive pressure on this player. He's against the player he would most like to be against, the guy who's the worst defensively. He might be good work rate, anticipation, speed or whatnot, but he won't have the tackling or the extra decent defensive qualities to make the tackle. So these players will all back off, the pressing forward will do his thing, and then this guy will like breeze past him. I think it's a huge, huge, huge negative in the pressing forward. If you watch any matches, if you watch games in like full match and you pay close attention to what the pressing forward does, you will be really annoyed with your pressing forward. You'll be like, God, leave the guy alone, let someone else take him. And you're basically picking an inferior, we've got an inverted wingback goal again. You're picking a inferior defensive player to start doing defensive stuff instead of someone else who would have just been way better. But yeah, I really dislike the pressing forward on attack, particularly as a solo striker. They'll go on unnecessary missions that they're not suited for, and then vacate the area of the attack which you need them in, which is why the advanced forward is so good, because they generally will drop off at points, but they'll... Clayton, I don't recall too good, but I wouldn't be too upset because my memory is absolutely horrific. I have anything outside of Football Manager. Football Manager seems to consume all of my memory, and then everything else I'm just terrible at remembering. So don't take it badly because my memory is absolutely horrible, okay? So far on the stream right now, we've we've been using this 3-3-3-1 with players all playing out of positions, all different profiles. We've had a 2-1 win over Lazio, 2-1 win over Inter Milan, 5-1 win against Zurich, and a 5-0 win against Zurich. We now play Empoli away from home. It is more habitual than anything. It's a habit of me checking their tactics and looking at them. So they're playing a 4-3-3, conventional 4-3-3. I do think the inverted wingback causes a lot of problems for this. Shadow strikers on their pivot, and then the guys will get in space here. So I do predict that we will do quite well. Especially if Matip is back. I think Matip's been a big miss. I think we've been extremely fortunate to do well in these games. I think we've been extremely fortunate to do well in these games with the players that we've had missing. So if I do quick pick, you'll see what it looks like in terms of what the AI thinks we should line up like. I'm very happy that it thinks Coyote is a centre back now. I couldn't agree anymore. Shout out to the AI who have after some games of Coyote playing centre back, believe that he can do the job. I'm also training him in strength and jumping reach, so hopefully he can be able to jump higher. Parisi will be my right inverted wing back. We will play Parisi as another case of someone who can't play wide target forward because he's not tall enough. But yes, exactly. We got wide target. We got Parisi inverted wing back. We'll play. We're playing a weaker side, so we'll use our more technical, less defensive inverted wing back. This guy's got good off the ball, good positioning, good work rate vision, technical stuff, good creative qualities. Now, Kwame obviously isn't our profile that we like for wide players. So we've got Spinazzola here. He's going to be our winger on stay wider, but cuts inside with the ball because it's an attribute. We're also telling him to run wide with the ball. So there's going to be a mixture of him wanting to I thought he wanted to cut inside with the ball. Run wide with the ball. It conflicts with a trait. But anyway. So we're going to have Goodmanson starting as our 10. And then we're going to not have Lazari. We're going to start Dodo just because he's fresher. And then we'll have Goodmanson as the shadow striker because that's the player we like to play, particularly against... Yeah, of course, I remember you, the old-fashioned. Hello. Oh, we cross swords at the Bellagio, Lou? Nah. But I do remember you, the old-fashioned. How's it going? Hello. Nice to see you. Thank you for dropping in. So, transfer window closes. Transfer window's closing. Quick question for everyone who's been watching and paying attention. Where do you think we could strengthen the most in this squad? I'll put the players back in their current positions. So we've got Coyote, Matip and Baraghi as our back three, with Fernandez, Quarta and Ranieri as our backups. We have Dodo and Lazari on this wing, Ghost and Spinazzola. Strikers, we have Kolpani, Goodmanson, Adley and this guy who I love, Mandragora. Where would you improve this side? What is an area where we could maybe find someone more suitable to my system? One argument is you could say Parisi can come as a left winger. Kolpani can come as a inverted wing back, and we find another crazy, really creative shadow striker type player. Not that there's many 30-year-olds in the game that fit that profile. But that is one argument. But if we wanted to have a mixture of super attacking and defensive, we could have... Where would you say could be improved in the team? What area could be improved? Now, if we looked at profiles of players I could bring in, Carrera would be a decent one. He kind of reminds me of Goodmanson. They're kind of similar in a lot of ways. Out-and-out wingers. Maximilian Arnold... Maybe not so much. Could play a lot of positions in my system. We talked about Florenzi. I don't know if he's a big upgrade to Bove. I don't know if he's really necessary to go out and grab right now. We'll sort by age. We can only sign players 29 and over. So we'll get rid of all the reports here of the 27-year-olds and over. We have all of our scouts set up to look for players... in the kind of older age range. Talisca could be an amazing one. Goalkeeper with corner taken. That's hilarious. Talisca would be a perfect kind of shadow striker for my system. Dada, maybe not. Don't know if he's much of an upgrade of my current registers. I don't know if there's any player that kind of screams out that we have to get them right now. I like a lot of these guys that are not for sale. Mings, Doherty. I don't know if there's any centre-backs. Can't get Zappacosta right now. Lindelof would be a really good one. He'd really suit my right side centre-back position. Areska would be a nice one in terms of shadow striker. Frankowski was my original inverted wing-back. I think that he fits the profile perfectly. However, we've already got 4 inverted wing backs, so I don't think we need to bring him in. You could argue that this guy would be a great pickup for like 2 million plus add-ons, but is he better than Lazari and Dodo? I don't think he's significantly enough better to do that switcheroo. Klosterman would be perfect for right side centre back, would definitely be an upgrade to Mario Fernandes. Mario Fernandes is going to be the priority to replace ASAP. But I think that is more going to be a situation where we get 2 right side centre backs, or maybe this guy right side centre back, get a centre back, and then maybe we sell Dodo. Coyote becomes the wide target forward, and then we look to target bringing in 2, maybe another amazing centre back and an amazing right side centre back, something like that. And then maybe Parisi replaces Gosens out on the left. Maybe when Spinazzola finishes his loan, Parisi replaces Spinazzola, and we find maybe a Pessina type, or we bring in Kolpani and we look for another crazy shadow striker. My dream one would be Berardi. My dream shadow striker right now, I think, would be Berardi, or is it Orsolini? Orsolini. I think Orsolini. Orsolini from Bologna. He's not quite at the age yet, but he would be another perfect one that I would like for striker, shadow striker. So maybe in a couple of seasons, Orsolini, maybe someone like Politano. Pessina, I would love to get. I would almost like to break my own rule of not signing players over 29 because I love Pessina so much, one of my favorite players on the game. You could argue this would be a good signing as well for shadow striker. Not maybe wide target forward potential, but for the profile that we like for shadow striker. So from what I've said, I think that I've scoured the earth and brought in all of the players that I really want and need right now. So I can't see an argument, unless someone can make one in the chat, someone can tell me an area of the team that I really need to improve on. I think Mario Fernandes is a player that we could definitely improve on. Let's have a look. I'll show you how I find my players for this save. So we've obviously got 29 and over, and then let's look at what we would want from our right side centre back. Okay. So what do we want from our right side centre back? Some jumping reach, some acceleration, some pace. We want some positioning, some marking, some tackling, some crossing, some dribbling. Not necessarily off the ball, even though it would be nice. I won't get too fussy about that. And this seems to be kind of what I would go with. So then let's say 12 as a minimum jumping reach, 13 as a minimum acceleration pace, positioning at least 12, I would say. They're going to need good positioning if they're in a back three and they're involved in getting in attacking situations. At least 12 marking, at least 12 tackling, at least 10 crossing. We do want them to be on the more adventurous side. We do want them to get in attacking positions. 10 crossing is probably right. And then 12 dribbling. We also need them to be right-footed to be on the right side. So we'll put fairly strong right foot. And we're left with this, 15 players. You'll see I have Lindelof. I talked about Thomas Partey. His contract expires. Chambers, probably not quite good enough. Krunic, kind of a weird, not quite good enough. Gradit is also absolutely perfect. I'd love him as my centre-back. Doherty is Matt Doherty. Can't believe I'm in a save where I think Matt Doherty is my perfect wide ball playing defender, but it is what it is. RIP George Baldock. Danny DaCosta probably isn't quite the level. And then this is all of the players in the world. This is without players who would actually join me. So it looks like Lindelof, whose contract expires, is probably number one target. And then Thomas Partey is up there as well, as their contracts expire at the end of the season, would be perfect. And then Gradit. So that leaves me with 4 options, I would say. 4 good options. Now, if we wanted to tweak this just a little bit, maybe not crossing down to 9. And then that's probably all I'm willing to compromise in terms of crossing. That adds Lamina into the mix and not too much else. Let's have a look at any other things I would want to lower. Maybe, let's say, dribbling to 11. That's going to include a few more centre-back, like out-and-out centre-backs. I do see Mandy as a really good option. He's 32 years old. Perfect. I see him as a guy that would be great for us. Weidma. I see this guy as someone who would be a decent right side wide centre-back for us. Maybe not Kraft, maybe not quite good enough. And then Mbemba would also be another perfect one. When is his contract expiring? Expires quite a while. That would be an expensive signing if we wanted to do it. And Klosterman was our other option. I believe he was on the shortlist. For some reason, he doesn't fall into that. Maybe I think he doesn't have the best dribbling. But yeah, Klosterman would be another option. So good enough amount of options where we don't need to kind of rush into it. We've got 4 or 5 decent players that we could get. But I think that wide centre back is probably the choice, and another amazing centre back. How much money do we have right now? Okay, we've got 4 million. Let's have a look at what I would want for a backup central centre defender. Now, crossing will not be a part of it anymore. We'll say 11 dribbling is probably fine for what I want for my profile of centre back. Let's say 10. Let's say 12 tackling. I'm not massive on tackling. I don't really care about tackling so much as I care about some of the other things. I definitely want jump and reach to be high because we lack a bit of height in the team. That's one of the areas we can get some height into the team. We do lack some height with this system. So in terms of options, again, we've got Danny Mings would be a great one. Let's have a look at some of these guys. This guy would be perfect for us, maybe more so as a left side centre back. 29 years old. Let's knock the jumper and reach down to 14. We should have a lot more options now. And if we looked at a backup centre back, that's why I think Lindelof would be perfect. And then we've got another perfect one here. This guy would be fantastic as our central centre defender, even though he isn't as tall, he's just still top quality. So we'll give him a little scout. Maybe Vezo would be good backup in the system, even though he's only 6 foot, he's still got decent jump and reach. Yeah. I won't be as fussy, skip draw. I won't be as fussy for my central centre backs just because they don't have to be, they just need to be really good central centre defender with some height. And I'm sure I'll find an really good Italian one. If you can think of one that's above 29 years old, maybe someone like, who's that guy that plays for Atalanta? He's like, not Atlanta. He's Todoli or something like that. I can see myself signing kind of like an older Italian centre-back who can play as backup to Matip. Just someone who's top quality. There's also an option for Danilo from Juventus to be a ball-playing defender. Yeah, that's the guy. Exactly. Thank you, Hunter. Yeah, I could see me signing someone like him as a backup centre-back. But again, I don't think it's priority, and they'd be directly replacing Fernandes, and then we'd have a mix around. Spinazzola will leave on loan. Goodmanson will leave from loan. Adley will leave from loan. Bove will leave from loan. So it leaves us a lot of players to get. The reason I wanted to be Fiorentina as well was they have a lot of players on loan that will leave at the end of the season, which will force me to then have to sign more over 29, 30-year-olds than I normally would in other saves, because I have to replace those loan signings with over 30 players. So next season, my team will look very different to how it looks this season, which makes it more fun, more interesting for me because I can bring in players. But yeah, we assessed the market. We had a little bit of money we could have spent. We had a little bit of cash that we could have used to bring in one more player. I think maybe a loan signing. We should have looked on the loan. We should have looked on the loan list or the transfer list. I'm sure if we go to the loan list right now and we have a look, I'm sure there's some interesting players that we would like in this save that we wouldn't get in a normal save. So Laporte would be a perfect one, even though he's on 400k a week, so that might be an issue. Lima, you can imagine, is a player that very much I would like because he's super versatile. Scott McTominay is an amazing one I would love. Scott McTominay would probably be Regista in my system, but maybe not with that vision. I can see Scott McTominay being inverted wing back for me. Inverted wing back on the left, I could definitely see McTominay doing that. And another fun thing about the save, Fabinho could definitely be my centre back. De La Cruz could be let's do it 29 and over. That probably will help. Talisca again. This would be another good one. Could almost go on the short list. Sure, he's on a lot of wages. N'Golo Kante would be another one that would be super fun in this save. I can imagine him inverted wing back. Yeah. But I think we've spoken enough about potential transfers, particularly as I won't be making any signings. I won't be making any signings right now. So, but I just wanted you to make it clear. I've gone over all the options that are available right now for me and haven't found any that I have to bring in right now. I think Spinazzola and Lazzari were my last two as my wide wing backs playing as wingers. You could argue Spinazzola is an out-and-out winger, but he's definitely someone you would play as wing back as well. So he still fits the profile of a player that could do both. Play wing back, inverted wing back, and winger. Arguably shadow striker. I could see me playing Spinazzola as shadow striker for sure. And this will be the last game that I play today. Last match that I played today. And we'll get on with this another day. Definitely will stream this and post this on YouTube. And I'll stream again before Thursday and next Thursday. Just because I find this fun and interesting to do a save like this. I don't normally do, and kind of handicap myself in a few ways by only signing older guys, mostly playing players out of position and testing out a weirder tactic. And yeah. Cheers for the stream. Oh, no problem. You're welcome. Let's see if we can get the final win and go for the 5 of 5 on stream. We still have Matip injured, which is super annoying. He returns tomorrow and I'm just going to start him because he's so important to my system, and I feel like we haven't got to see the full effect of this tactic, because I would say the most important and the most key part of the tactic is that someone amazing is the central ball playing defender to make up for the fact that I wouldn't want to ever try this tactic with a centre back that's not amazing, because you're going to have a lot of problems. It's going to add up to your problems. A lot of the situations are going to be saved by the fact that your central defender is your best. I want my best player in this system to be my central centre back. So I'll put my squad back now without thinking about transfers. We don't need to think about that until the next window opens. And this is what we're rocking with right now. Kawata, I can see definitely as my backup right side centre back. I think he's got mostly everything I would need for that. I'm trying to train him on runs. Everyone's currently learning a player trait that suits this system. I'm going mad on player traits this save. I'm trying to use a combination of player instructions, a weird tactic, and player traits to make players more effective. Arrives late into the area, gets further forward, gets into the box for my inverted wingbacks. Maybe one of the ways I can achieve what I want is get cross less often. Cross left often on my wingers, and then playing wingers with cross more often, hard coded, and then getting the player trait crosses less often. That would be a good one. I think that would help the balance. But again, if they're wide target forwards, I want them to be crossing to the opposite wide target forwards, so it gets awkward. I would agree that was a great question from Costas earlier, and he gave me the chance to explain. Hi Bazooka, hello buddy. Welcome. You're just in time for the last game of this stream. Definitely last game of the stream. Some of the shit. Never check your... That is actually a tip I learned before I started streaming. I would watch some videos like, good tips when you stream. Don't read your phone. New CPO, FM is flying. Okay, last one. Empoli should be not the easiest game ever. Like, the reason I love Serie A so much in real life and on this save is just there's no real easy games. There's no real easy match. Even the easy matches can be difficult, right? There's good players that you can find in all of these sides. I really like a lot of these teams. You'll see a lot of players. Like this team has some guys I definitely like. VT is a cool centre back. Pizzella is an awesome a player I feel like would be a great left-sided centre back backup. Maybe not as good as the ones we have right now. I've had him in a save before where he was much better, and he was a player I've really liked. But I just love so many players that play in Serie A quality. It's in Serie A who I think are quality. Player Gagliardini, Pessina, Pizzella. Yeah, I love so many Italian players. This guy, I love him. He's quality. We see the inverted wing backs here linking up, getting real close to each other. I should not reply right now. I'll reply at the end of the stream. Makes sense. I think he's offside, right? This one's pretty clear offside. If the ref gives this, it's corruption. If this is a goal, I feel bad. What? I'll have to watch this one. Spinazzola here. I'll take it. My eyes are not what they used to be. I know that my eyes have declined. Oi, no. Great ball. Great ball from Goodmanson to them. Not ideal. Goodmanson, the shadow striker. So one of the negatives of this tactic is obviously hard to defend through the center. Nice to see the shadow striker getting back and doing defensive work, which is awesome. But I don't know if the ball played into our own box was super necessary there. I would say that is an attacking player doing a crazy thing. You could say that's my fault in the same vein in which I don't like the pressing forward. The shadow striker can tend to do things similarly. Okay, so we're going to make 3 subs. We've got 2 booked players. Moise Keane is going to come off for Kwame. We have Guerrerian, who can come off for Bove. We can do Capaldi as the inverted wingback. There's going to be 4 subs. Capaldi. Where is Capaldi? Kopani. Yeah, and then Matip for Kawata, I guess. I'd love to give Matip some more game time. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. What a G. Thank you so much for reminding me. You're saying I don't need this low defensive line against... we're not playing Inter Milan anymore. Thank you so much for reminding me. Yeah. Thank you. You saved me. That is something I would forget about and have for like the next 10 games without noticing. But yeah, the higher defensive line, the lower defensive line is not necessary against a target forward on support. Although he is fairly quick, he is not Thuram and Martinez quick. So loads of changes at halftime, loads of different profiles, fresher legs. Get rid of those yellow cards to mean that we can still tackle harder, still put on pressure, still be able to play that we want to play. We don't want to compromise how we want to play because we got booked players. Baraghi here is a little injured. This is going to be our last sub of the game. Little interesting one here because I need another goal. Ranieri is still cool for a wide centre-back. It's not like he's the most defensive player in the world. But we could maybe go with a bit more attacking profile of a player as the left side centre-back. Spinazzola might be a huge overreach. Like, there's limits to this, and Spinazzola as a centre-back might be too much. But I'm going to go with Gosens as the left side centre-back because we need another goal. We need to create. We'll go on a bit more attacking mentality, and then everything else seems fine. How's your experiment going so far, buddy? It's going really good right until the point that you asked. Where this game isn't going outstanding. We did beat Inter Milan and Lazio, and now we're struggling against Empoli, but that is very a Serie A type thing because the league is so good, league's so competitive. These are things that are going to happen. I don't know about this one being onside as well. I think we scored 2 offside goals, but overall I'd say it's a great success. It's not, I'm taking over 30 signings to the max. Could be signing Jordan Ayew, Puki, Panjic, and the long. Panjic is actually available. He's actually available for me right now. I strongly considered him. I just couldn't find a suitable role for him in my team that fit my system. But I'd say the experiment's going pretty well, barring this game. It doesn't look like... Oh, Dodo's injured as well. Dodo being injured really sucks because we've used all our subs, I believe. Yeah, I was hoping. Yeah, Dodo being injured right now is not going to be helpful. We still have double their XG. We still created some decent chances. Just, I mean, that one was very close to being onside, even though I was pretty sure it was offside. Fine lines. We've got Gosens here as our ball playing defender. Spinazzola, bad first touch. Kolpani with his height wins that one. Back to Spinazzola, finds Goodmanson. Goodmanson is lethal, absolutely lethal shadow striker. I can't even think of what other type of profile player I'd want to be out of position. Like, I can only think of playing as a winger, as a shadow striker. I don't mind the idea of playing a ball winning midfielder as a shadow striker, but then we lack too much creativity. I think you still need that balance. Disappointed Goodmanson couldn't get the finish there. At least we've racked up the XG to something respectable. It just isn't the most overwhelming performance. Matip, again, having to come off tired early. A few of our stars booked. We like to rotate our team. We like to keep the team. Bove. I like Bove for the defensive work rate and everything. Oh, Kwame. That was a big chance to win the game. We get up to 2.2 XG. So as far as experiment goes, creating the chances is the key part. Winning the games comes secondary. Como, top of the league. Como, top of the league. What is going on? Kolpani, that's a pen now. This, I know Football Manager, and I know this is a penalty. I know this is not going to be not given. This is a penalty. He's brought him down. He didn't have the ball. It is a penalty. Okay, come on. Some justice. We deserve this game. Make it 5 wins of 5, please, so we can end this stream. We've got a great YouTube. Goodmanson. We've got a good YouTube video. We've had a nice stream. We've got a third goal for Goodmanson, and we get the kind of deserved, I would say it's the deserved win at the end of the day. We go joint top with Como, which is super interesting. 3.26 XG, obviously flattered by the fact that we, didn't play our best, got the result. I agree with that, even though I think we played good. We got saved by a penalty, and yeah. Okay, how long's Dodo injured for? 5 to 8 days, 4 to 5 days. Want a permanent deal for Spinazzola. I'm happy to hear it. Created some good chances. Kwame should have definitely buried one to give him 2 assists there. Right, guys, thank you so much. If you're watching this back on a VOD, really appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, give me a like and a comment or something. Yeah, thank you everyone in the stream that's watched today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for chatting with me. Some really good questions today. Really enjoyed it. I like the save. I think it's fun. I hope you think this is a fun, cool save today too. And maybe you got some inspiration to do something similar or try something weird. Nice to meet you. Thank you everyone for the follows. And yeah, thanks guys. Who should we raid? I'll end the recording. Thank you.